During the stage of the Mandela road construction, we suffered some significant disruptions on service coming into predominantly the western section of the corporate area. And when I mean western, we're talking about Duane Park leading up the boulevard, etc. So we have had some disruptions and regular disruptions by virtue of those works. We continue to have disruptions on Constant Spring Road again because Constant Spring we have just about 3 or 4 major trunk main coming down that corridor, and disruption of one means that we're going to be disrupting the overall service delivery as it is. And at that time when those services, or let's say those transmission mains were constructed, they weren't constructed with the ease of allowing for frequent repairs because of what we're seeing now. So in other words, there's no possibility to a great extent of isolating some of those major lines, and so the facility in general has to be taken out. Again, it's not a pleasure of the NWC to do that. We have put steps in place to address how we respond to those breaks. Secondly, or let's say thirdly rather, Hydra Park Road is a similar situation where we have suffered some disruption. But those are part of what we expect during a regular construction exercise, especially when you're working on a brownfield situation, meaning it's not a barren area that we're doing new road construction. Existing infrastructures are already there. Some of them would be known, some of them may also be unknown. It's just the reality of the situation that exists. And so you will have some level of disruptions. However, what has impacted us in the last week or two more significantly, so much so that the NWC has been very much highlighted in the media about lack of water, especially in Christmas, is a major break that occurred at Mandela in the vicinity of the overhead ramp that is now being constructed. Now, there are 2 mains that carry water into the corporate area. There's a 33-inch that goes all the way down Spanish Town Road, and there's an 18-inch asbestos cement pipe that goes up the boulevard that serves Duane Park, Corbin Garden, Washington Garden, Mullines Road, all the way up to Dunrobin intersection with Constant Spring. Now, that transmission main carries approximately an average 6 million gallons of water per day. Now, disruption in that main resulted in a reduction of approximately at least 10% of the input volume into the network. Now, it means that there will be a great dislocate on section of the corporate area. We have done our assessment and made a decision that to really effect repair on that pipe would be an event that wouldn't be cost effective both in terms of money and time, meaning to excavate 35 feet down below where the ramp is to effect a repair on an asbestos pipe, and at the time not very much knowledge is known as to the extent of the break. It could be broken in many places, we don't know. It could be one break, it could be multiple breaks. Because again, 35 feet of backfill on a pipe of any material is just unprecedented really, especially a water pipe. And so, what are we doing to alleviate some of the stress in the corporate area? So we continue to look at options to possibly bypass that area. We are looking at the possibility of using HDP pipe as a temporary arrangement, but that in itself will take its own time to be installed. So the alternatives that we have are looking at our existing production facilities and production sources in Kingston and St. Andrews. Now I might just add, as I have explained before, the network in Kingston is segregated based on specific zones. So different production facilities command the service delivery to different areas. So Mona serves a particular area. Constant Spring, which everybody is aware of, serves a particular area. And so the source that is now disrupted will serve a particular area. Albeit, water can be transferred to the different areas, but in a limited way. Not to the great extent as we would have if we have the full volume available. And so, what we have done in recent times, and again, is to look to move water, and I've been moving water from Mona Oak and Constant Spring into the affected areas. And in moving water, there will be limitations to the quantity of water that would be available, that could be moved. And it also affects the available pressure. And so, over the period that has just passed, there will be very low pressure in some instances, or no water at all in some instances. The adjustments that we have made across the network had resulted in pressures improving. Initially we were just about, and I'm using the imperial measurement for those who understand the whole issue of pressures, about 15 psi we were at in those affected areas on average. And so this morning we now moved to closer to 20 psi in those affected areas. So there is some amount of improvement. So there would be improvement at least on ground floors. And I need to emphasize the circumstances where we're going to have, or where we're having low water pressure, the high elevated, high rise buildings are going to be affected. And it's just a part of the process. In fact, as part of NWC World Development Approval, we always stipulate that we guarantee water to the ground and the first floor, but beyond that, we always require that there is some supplementary approach to get water to higher floors. And in fact, that is how it ought to be done. And we can go into details as it relates to that. We recognize as well that those adjustments may not be sufficient in some areas, and so we have instituted, which is not to our pleasing in a way, some regulations starting this morning to ensure that at least when service is provided to the communities, it is provided almost at normal situation. So we are moving water from Havendale as an indication up to Smokey Vale, all the way up to Mount Silas, to ensure that those elevated areas are not having prolonged impact of no water. We are also using the Forest Hill system as well. And the Forest Hill system, for those of you who don't know, is just at the foot of Red Hills, just as you're about to ascend the hill, going up that side, to improve water along Red Hills Road area into Perkins Boulevard, Meadowbrook Estate, and section of Patrick City, and section of Duane Park as well. Those regulations we will share with you the times, but in essence, what we have done is ensure that there is longevity in service time. So we are doing 12-hour shifts in our regulations. So we will make the adjustments in the system at 6 a.m. and at 6 p.m. We are not going to be able to serve every single customer at the daytime at the level that every single customer wants under these circumstances. But what we are ensuring to do is to at least provide you with an improved service during a particular period. I'm also very much aware that some customers would rather have water during the day rather than at night. I apologize and seek your indulgence and patience while we work to resolve the major issue. But in the interim, it is the best approach at this time to actually ensure that there is no prolonged period of no water to any customer whatsoever. And so, again, Constant Spring, as I indicated, we are moving Constant Spring water into some of this area, and areas to be improved to see better service are in the Mullines Road area, which we are aware is the most affected from the disruption created at Mandela. The other thing that we are also working on is to increase our water resource in the larger pipe going down the Spanish Town Road, going into downtown Kingston. And what it really, in essence, we're doing is if we add more water into that system, where we would now have Mona and Hope water distributed in those areas, we'll divert those into other areas. So it's a matter of moving the water across the network. And again, let me just emphasize, when you move water in a network, it's not like moving electrons and neutrons and protons. This is a fluid, and it takes time for it to properly circulate and equalize in the network so you can actually start to see the impact. In a water supply system, if your network or your pipes run empty, it creates greater impact of no service than if you are able to keep your network with water contained, and if you introduce additional water, you will see improved service. So it is a little bit more technical and not so simple as it is construed in from time to time. But the team is committed, as I've indicated in the past, to resolve under the limited circumstances to improve the service. So again, you will ask the question, what is it we intend to do